Hello, Boogie Woogies! Welcome back to Boogie Games, the one-stop shop for everything to do with horror, whether it be something niche, whether it be something general, everything. We're talking movies, everything. Thank you for stopping in. As always, it's the dreadful host, Jordan, giving you guys some nonsense for the week. And today's nonsense is going to be about the two Terrifier movies, the Terrifier franchise. Is it iconic? Is it overhyped? And my opinion is, as the thumbnail suggests, let's just go ahead and dive into it. Let's just rip that band-aid off so I can get stoned to death before anything ever happens of this channel. I think it leans more overwhelmed. I said it. And I mean it. Maybe I need to watch it a couple more times. Maybe I need to dive in a little bit more. Maybe there's some things I didn't pick up on. Maybe this is just my first impression. I've not seen anything else before. Prior to this, I have only seen the Terrifier 3 trailer. Prior to that, I had only seen the clips from All Hallows Eve, and not even in its fullest. I did rewatch them prior to watching Terrifier 1 and 2. And I mean, the only thing other than that was the diner scene from the first movie. Didn't even see why Art got kicked out. Come to find out why he got kicked out, and that's nasty. That's nasty. But that's not why I think it's overwhelmed. I think it's, and don't get me wrong. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Don't get me wrong. I am glad that it exists. I'm glad Art the Clown is a thing. Why Terrifier is a thing for the whole community to enjoy. And obviously there is an audience for this. Obviously Art the Clown is becoming more and more iconic, whether I think it, or Jimmy down the street thinks it, or Timmy Tom over there thinks it. It doesn't matter what we think. Regardless, I'm seeing him more and more within the community being posted. I'm seeing him more and more in pop culture. So, is he iconic? He's on his way there. Do I think he kind of leans more overhyped? Yes, I do. I think a tad. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of moments I enjoyed in this as well. I think that there is stuff to look at, to love about everything, but this particularly, Art the Clown, I love. I think that they just overdo it with the theatrics. Let me explain. Calm down. I think that the kills, and I know the kills are the thing. It's like the main hook of the Terrifier movies is the gore. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm more story driven. I'm a more story driven guy. It's not really about the gore for me, though it is cool to see. It really is to sit there and think about, wow, someone made this. Someone put this together like a work of art. And he is Art the Clown. I love David as Art. I mean, he really crushes it. Like, he knows what he's doing. And I love, there's plenty of hilarious moments in both movies that I just found myself laughing at. Particularly with his facial expressions, like the freezing, and just, I mean, you're seeing it here. I'm playing it right now. If you just, if you've seen the movies, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, there's plenty of comical moments of Art just being Art. Like, he's not trying to necessarily, I think he is. I do think he's trying to be comical in those moments because he's enjoying what he's doing. It's his masterpieces. This is what he's working on. Similar to Michael Myers. I don't really like to make that comparison because it's like comparing, potatoes to tomatoes. It's two different things. I mean, sure, they're both vegetables, but they're two different things at the end of the day. And with that being said, that's why I lean towards more of the classics like Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw. The first two movies of those franchises, hardly any blood, if any at all, and both movies, together. I mean, between the two of them. It's just not needed. The story is there. It's implied. We're not dumb. We can imagine. And it's a little bit more scary. It's more scary to imagine, to cut away and let people imagine what the kill was, how he did it. It's just, you don't know. I mean, sure, you gotta show some moments, of course, but, for me, the more interesting kills that stick with me more are the ones where you don't really know how they went down. You may see some of the aftermath, bits and pieces, but, the less you see, the more prominent it's in your mind. At least that's how I look at it. I mean, Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw. notoriously remembered to be violent and whatnot, but it's not really, especially to today's standards. And if you look at the remakes, Rob Zombie's Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw remake, both of them are way more gory than their predecessor. They have updated, filmography. Yeah, it's better, it's higher definition. We have access to better effects. We have access to better everything when those movies came out, but people still go back to the originals and prefer the originals in most cases. And there's less blood. It's a little bit clunkier as far as the higher definition, but the story's there. It's better written. It flows a bit better. Some may disagree with that, and to that I say you're right. As I say with the people who say I'm right is right. It's opinion. It's all opinion. And in my opinion, I think the Terrifier trilogy that is soon to be is good for the horror community, just not for me. Doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean that if you love these movies, they're not for you and you want to rewatch them weekly. Go for it. I try to rewatch the Halloween movies as much as possible, and I'm sure some people think Michael Myers is overhyped. To that, I say I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure you're out there, and I'm sure you're justified, because it is a matter of opinion. Not everybody loves Ghostface. Not everybody loves Freddy. Not everybody loves Jason. It's hard as hell not to. What are you doing? But some people don't like Chucky. It's different flavors. Everybody has different tastes. Some people like vanilla, some people like chocolate, some people like strawberry. And there's that one kid that loves mint chocolate chip. They're out there, and that's cool. I'm glad, because that brings more to the community. If you just had the same thing everywhere, everything would be boring. As much as I could watch 20 Michael Myers movies, series, etc., I'm glad there's Art the Clown out there to entertain other people, and for me to at least watch once. And with that being said, that's another reason why I'm not the biggest fan as I thought I would be, and that's surprising. I really thought I was going to enjoy this much more than I did. I give a lot of leniency with slasher movies, more than most people, because I take them for what they are. They're not supposed to be some big narrative like Inception from Christopher Nolan or nothing like that, or Interstellar. You're supposed to. You can just kind of turn off your brain. It's a very basic story plot. They're not known for their extravagant stories, though some are. But at the end of the day, it's very basic. Man killing man. It's the Cain and Abel story. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. And that's what art is. But it's too revealing for me. And like I said, as I was about to say and get into, it just doesn't have a lot of rewatchability for me, the first two movies. I mean, I don't see myself rewatching this after watching it, more than once. Hopefully Terrifier 3 changes my mind on all this. I did enjoy Terrifier 2 more than Terrifier 1. I do think it was better, added more stories, and for crying out loud, it was 2 hours, and I didn't even notice it. It didn't feel like 2 hours. That was my first issue with the first movie, is the pacing. The issue was still there with the second one, but not as much. And they did add more elements, more story to it, but they still didn't reveal who Art was. I mean, yeah, we all know Art the Clown is Art the Clown, but why is he Art the Clown? And I love that. That's what, when I think of Michael Myers, that's my Michael Myers. You don't know what makes him tick. You don't. Like, Rob Zombie tried to explain it. Kudos to you, man, if you want a Michael Myers with a backstory. It's just not for me. I didn't like that approach. It just wasn't for me. Some people prefer that. I prefer when you don't know. Suburban kid, nice neighborhood. It seems like everything's nice. The neighbors, the parents seem nice. Michael just seems like a typical kid, and for some reason on Halloween night he picks up a kitchen knife and never puts it down, and we're never really shown why. Of course they try to explain it later in Halloween 6, of course Rob Zombie's movie, but then we got back to basics with the recent David Gordon Green trilogy, and I love that they didn't. You don't give too much away. Is he supernatural? Is he not? Though it's obviously he has to be somewhat supernatural by the end of that trilogy. But you play with it. You play with it. You dance that line. You always toe that line. That's my favorite Michael Myers. Even when we figure out his motive, which is to kill his sister and then later his niece. We don't know why. Why is he trying to kill Laurie? Why is he trying to kill Jamie? Who knows? It's just what he does. It's a very simple creature. And with Art the Clown, Art the Clown was doing the same thing. He's just killing because he enjoys it. There's no specific rhyme, no specific reason. There's no specific identifiers to targets for the most part. From what I've seen, it's just he out there in the wilderness locks onto something and follows it. Kind of like The Shape. Kind of like Jason. Jason, there's a prime story right there. We know why Jason kills. We know why Freddy kills. Heck, Jason, wants revenge after what happened with his mother. And then, of course, what happened to him before that. His mom getting decapitated. It really drives the vengeance. Same thing for Freddy. Kind of vengeance, not as much as Jason. He was already, born bad, the bastard of 1,000 maniacs. And then, of course, when he gets burned alive by the parents of Elm Street, that's where the vengeance part comes in. He's there to take care of the kids of Elm Street, the parents' children that burned him alive. That's the first movie. And then, of course, it kind of spreads on to him just enjoying the kill, but the premise of the first movie is vengeance, for Freddy at least. And we know why. Of course, every Ghostface has a motive. The closest one we have to not having a motive is Stu, and to even that point, he kind of has a motive. So Billy, Stu, Mickey, Mrs. Loomis, Roman, Jill, Charlie, Richie, Amber, Richie's family, all of them have motives, and that's all the Ghostface killers that we are aware of. We'll see in Scream 7 if that begins to change, but as of right now, all these iconic killers have motives, even at some point in their franchise. And I just don't think it's necessary. We know what we're doing. We know what these movies are, especially now. Everybody knows what Michael Myers is. He butchers babysitters on Halloween. That's what he does. He stalks and he kills. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as it needs to be. And I really hope in the new Halloween TV series they don't try to explain that too much. But enough about Michael Myers. We're talking about Art the Clown. The premise of these movies are super simple. It's basically Art the Clown stalking in an alley, just lurking around, runs into two chicks, follows them, and that's essentially the story. He hunts them down, he kills anybody that gets involved. In between that, the sister comes and rescues them, and plot twist, she survives, but ends up being revealed as, again, spoiler alert, the lady we see in the front who ends up becoming kind of a villain herself. Not the typical final girl. Not typical at all. I enjoyed that twist. I was like, oh. And there's definitely been plenty of moments in the first movie I was like, oh. One scene in particular where we get a little bit, blood rush to our heads, ceiling upside down type of scene. You know what I'm talking about. Didn't expect them to show that much. It was really when I was like, oh, this is definitely going to be that type of movie where we see everything. And that's not me knocking on it. I'm just not a fan of that gore for gore's sake. It's cool to look at. It's cool to observe. But at the end of the day, just like the Saw movies, they're cool. And there's 10 of those movies. We're probably on track to have 5 of these movies. There's an audience there, as I keep saying. And with the audience being there, there's always going to be movies about them. And I'm glad. I'm happy for it. Terrifier 2, it upped the stakes. They had better quality as far as the writing, as far as the storytelling. You could tell they learned more since their last movie. You could tell they had a bigger budget. And I'd imagine they have quite a big budget for this movie, Terrifier 3. And again, I enjoyed the second one more than the first, so I'm really hoping 3 keeps that trend up and I enjoy the third one. And that is the deal breaker for me to be like, you know what, this kind of explains things, or I see things in a certain perspective where I do enjoy this franchise more. Because, that's what we need. Of course, we have all the iconic ones. We have Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Ghostface, Chucky. They're all out there. Candyman, all out there. But modern ones, they just don't make them like they used to. John Carver is a good one. I really like John Carver from the Thanksgiving movie. Art the Clown, he's the one that stands out the most as of right now. So we'll see. Terrifier 3 will be dropping next month. What better time to really rewatch it if you are a fan of it? I know I may give it another rewatch, to give it another shot before I go into Terrifier 3. I'm chronological like that. Completionist, I like to watch things from beginning to end chronologically. But we shall see. I don't really see myself doing it, if I'm being honest with you. It just wasn't for me. And that's okay. If you don't, like it, you don't like it. If you love it, you love it. I'm sure I have plenty of movies on that shelf. So at the end of the day, what I'm getting at is go see it. Terrifier is definitely worth a watch if you're a horror fan at least once. You definitely got to watch both of them at least once. I'd even throw in All Hallows Eve if you've not seen that. And of course, Terrifier 3 is worth watching. If not for anything else, go to the theater and watch people's reaction, because that's the most fun part. I wish I watched these two in theaters to see people's reaction, and I'm definitely not going to make that mistake a third time. Third time's the charm, and I'm going to see some people barf, because you know someone's going to stumble up in there not knowing what Terrifier is, just see, oh, it's a horror movie, let's just, hey, let's check this out, babe. Oh, this is not what I thought it was. And yeah, especially with it being a Christmas movie, I have a soft spot. I said it in my last video, I have a soft spot for Christmas movies. It's also slashers. There's just that whole positive, negative, contradictory crossover. I don't know. I love anything like that, like Batman Returns. I love Batman Returns. I don't know. I'm just ready for this. So, given that a ranking, I would give Terrifier 1. Let's even throw in All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve, for me personally, I would give it a 3 out of 5 sunflowers. I attribute to Art his classic sunglasses. That's what I would give it. Terrifier, I would give it, I'm gonna get stoned for this, a 2 out of 5 sunflowers. And I'll explain. The reason why is because All Hallows Eve, it's definitely not nearly as explained. You don't know what the heck is going on. Art looks more like a human, which is more believable. Of course, he has that demon scene, but it's just like, you don't know what this is. At least with Terrifier, you get the premise a bit more of what this is about. It's a dude, kind of a dude, and he's just psychotic, he's crazy, and then it kind of goes into it a little bit more. But then, I mean, it's just, this is the first time Art the Clown has ever been seen, versus people have seen probably All Hallows Eve, the short film that was prior. It's iconic to a lot of people. It definitely set its own bar. It definitely, did its own thing. And that's my biggest respect to this franchise, is the fact that these people stuck to their guns. They got their own funding. They didn't let the studio get involved and change things up. No, I respect the hell out of that. And I really love it for that and hope success just for that reason. I support a lot of stuff like that. Like, you make the vision you want. And that's one thing that you can always say is that Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3 are going to be the complete vision of the director and their visions creating it. And I love that. Even if it's not for me, it's not for me. It's just, it is what it is. And I'd say Terrifier 2, to end things off, I'd give that one definitely a 3, probably leaning towards more 4 out of 5 for me of the franchise. It's definitely the best of the franchise for me. I'd imagine Terrifier 3 may be taking that spot based off what I've seen from the trailer. Things make a little bit more sense, and of course there's still questions to be answered. So we'll see what Terrifier 3 brings. Don't kill me too hard. Don't butcher me as bad as that poor girl in the bedroom with the eye and the ooh. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Terrifier 1 and 2 are good movies in their own respect. Definitely worth a watch at least once. Is it rewatchable? Not for me. So let me know what you guys, probably hate my opinion, but let me know what you think down below. I'd love to hear some counter arguments, probably some more explanation. Like I said, I probably need to rewatch these a bit more to kind of enjoy them as much as other people. Definitely let me hear your disagreements. If you do love this franchise, let me know why. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe I just didn't understand it. There were moments where I didn't fully understand what was happening, and some things just didn't make sense. Like, again, with the pacing, like what she's called the cat lady in the credits, but the girl with the baby. I mean, there's theories out there I've kind of looked at that's the mom of Emily, the little creepy girl we see in Terrifier 2. I don't know. I just know she was there. Was she just a random chick that was there? I mean, what was up with that? That just seemed like something that was there. And the creepy little girl, I mean, she didn't really add anything. She was just, oh, here's a creepy little girl, and I'm not going to explain it too much. Maybe she's related to Art, maybe she's not. She's definitely probably that little girl that was killed. That's evident, but what is she now? What is she doing now? How did she help Art rebirth himself? I don't know. That's what I'm so confused about. So definitely let me know down below if you have any answers to that. Definitely would love to see you guys. Check out the next video that I'm going to have. Got a lot of stuff coming, especially with the spooky season being upon us. The fall weather is here. So make sure you are slashing that subscribe button. Make sure you are choking that notification button. And make sure you are stalking the channel daily just to make sure you didn't miss any videos before, any posts, etc. And of course, like what you like and don't like what you don't like. Let me know. That way I know what videos you like and what you don't like. And we can go from there. I love you guys very much. Thanks again for stalking the channel. I'll see you in the next one.